Salve, discipuli way. We're going to talk a little bit about something else that we can do with infinitives today. Infinitives has been a big topic in this chapter of the book. And as we've seen, an infinitive in Latin is a verb form used as a noun. In English, we can use infinitives for other things as well. But in both languages, we have infinitives. Verb forms used as another part of speech. And in English, we can normally identify an infinitive. It's normally a verb form with to in front of it. To carry, to be carried, right? Those are infinitives in English. Um, and now in Latin, when it can be a subject, can be a direct object, and there are special grammatical names for those. But normally, if we just put the to in front of it or use that infinitive form, it's going to make sense. It's going to work in English. But there are sometimes when to do the same thing in English, we don't use an infinitive. And one of the most important of those is what's called the indirect statement. So we're going to take a look at that. We'll see that where Latin uses infinitives for indirect statements, whereas in English we do something else. So let's take a look at indirect statements.
So what exactly is an indirect statement? Well, let's start with a direct statement. Suppose we were to say the pirates are stealing the pigs. Pirati porcos rapiunt. Notice our subject's nominative, pirati, rapiunt, third person plural verb, present tense, right? We're talking about the pirates right now stealing the pigs. That's a direct statement. That's a direct quote. But let's suppose we wanted to say he thinks that the pirates are stealing the pigs. Notice what's happening here. The actual action in the sentence is the thinking. We don't know whether the pirates are actually doing any stealing or not. What's happening is what's going on inside the mind of our thinker here, right? And so thinks is the main verb. Paratus porcos rapre is just an infinitive phrase. That's the content of his thought. Notice what happens in Latin. The subject paratas is accusative and the verb's an infinitive. So with an infinitive, we're not going to see any person or number. It does have a different tense. We'll get to tense in a little bit, but there's no person or number. He thinks the pirates just steal pigs is literally what it says. Now notice the way it works in English is a little different. Let's look again at our Latin. Latin, the subject of an indirect statement is always accusative. That's why we say paratas. By the way, this particular verb is masculine, even though it's first declension, right? Subject of infinitives in general is going to be accusative. And so in the indirect statement, we're used to seeing subjects in the nominative, but this is different. Paratas. And the verb is going to be an infinitive. It's an infinitive phrase, rapere. Notice in English, we generally don't use infinitive phrases for indirect statement. Normally in English, we have a clause that starts with that. Since it's a clause, it's going to have a normal subject, and it's going to be nominative. Our subject is going to be nominative case in English, and we're going to have a regular inflected verb with person and number. Right? He thinks that the pirates are stealing the pigs. So the grammar in Latin and in English is not quite the same. It's not really parallel. All right. But Latin, remember, subject's accusative, the verb is an infinitive.